right now things are getting really tight as far as the mid-level and lower level distributors. They're getting more predatory. There's always good guys, but there's a lot of bad guys out there in that world. And we were in a fairly good economic time. And I go, wait until the fit hits the shan, and all of a sudden things start tightening. And we saw it in '08. I mean, you go back to '08, you start seeing companies start falling left and right because they were fragile in the first place. Do you see, obviously as of this recording, the market has had one of the worst weeks, last 2 weeks since 2008. A lot of people are saying that this is the first signs of something going to happen. We're due. We're late. We're late for something to happen. Do you feel, I'd love to hear your opinion, do you feel that some of the studios, and there's only a handful of big studios left, but do you think of the studios and also some of these larger distributors are vulnerable because they're fragile in the first place because they're not diversified? Like Disney, we're good. Disney's going to be fine. Warner's will probably be fine. Universal will probably be fine, but they're super diversified. Where some of the other studios aren't, and especially these distribution companies who are not diversified at all, and they're just making the money with distribution. If those channels start, like what we were just talking about, like China shuts down, and then all of a sudden the foreign market shuts down, all of a sudden all this flow ends. Do you feel that there's going to be a reckoning, if you will, in our industry?
I do, and I have to say this is a very unpopular position, but as bad as that is and is probably going to be, the industry really needs a purge. And this might be that opportunity. I believe this is the Phoenix Rising, because what's going to emerge from that catastrophic event is going to be a new perspective and a new way of doing things. Because I've been saying for a long time, I kept predicting about 5 years ago, I started predicting that the overall model of the sales companies, as opposed to the actual distributors, right? The sort of middlemen between the filmmakers.
The middlemen of the middlemen, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's where all the breakdown is, right? I mean, you have all these filmmakers, myself included, who spend years of their lives and dedicate thousands, if not millions of dollars in getting investment and doing everything they're supposed to do. They do it all right. Not always. I mean, people make mistakes, but for those who do go down the path and actually produce a quality film that deserves to be seen in the world, and then they go into the distribution market and they get crushed.
Decimated.
They get crushed. And as a result of that, it's a domino effect backwards now, because the sales companies, some of them are doing sales, recovering proceeds and not paying out. You know about that, right? And then there are others that are just in it for the upfront marketing fees. And once they collect their fees, they lose interest in the film and they move on to the next one, and then that one after that. So they're in the marketing fee collection business as opposed to the distribution of film business. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying for 5 years now, that's going to implode. At some point, it's going to come back and bite them, because instead of having the mindset of, wait a minute, if we take care of these people, these talented, seriously,
right?
If we
no, I agree with you.
These talented, young, talented, entrepreneurial filmmakers that really have their act together and have the resources and the wherewithal to go up there and figure out how to raise $2 million to make the movie in the first place, and then they make a great movie, right? Wouldn't it behoove us to build a long-term relationship with these people and make sure that those filmmakers are able to return those investments to their investors and make with profit, so that those investors will continue to keep investing in them and we can continue to prosper and grow? Unfortunately, in the vast majority of the cases, that's not the case, because the mindset, it just isn't.
I know.
And, like I said, it's a very unpopular position to be taking, but the mindset is more along the lines of, there'll be another one right behind you.
Correct.
There's a long line that's never going to end. And you know what? We're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to make this money, and good luck on your film and with your investors. And unfortunately, if that falls off the wayside, there's going to be 100 more filmmakers in that line trying to get that same deal that looks on the surface like a great opportunity, and then turns out not to be. So I've been saying for a very long time that will self implode. Like it can't sustain itself. It can't be sustainable. And to your point, unfortunately, I think this could be a sign that, you know, those are the most likely of the people that are going to probably be the ones to fall by the wayside. When the dust settles and everybody kind of comes back out of the ether and from whatever's going to be occurring over the next year or two, I think there is going to be a whole new way of looking at this thing and finding. I mean, even now, some of the deals I'm working on, you know, we're working on I have a couple of film funds that I'm building in, you know, the name of the company, and I'm consulting on others, and I'm telling these people, you know, that we can't go out and raise all these millions of dollars and then hand it over to some third party that's going to take the lion's share and leave us hanging, especially now if we're the investors and it's our money. So we're looking at ways to be able to minimize that. One of those ways is to reduce that marketing fee down to only like about $10,000.
Which is nothing in the grand scope of things. Yeah.
But imagine, you know, taking what is traditionally a 50, 60, I've seen $85,000 marketing fee.
150 to I've seen 200. Oh yeah.
Ridiculous. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Just imagine if that number was capped at like 15,000, you know? So those are little things that, you know, that we're trying to do internally here. And that's why I said, goes back to my point earlier about new filmmakers or even current filmmakers, staying close to people like us who are fighting every day and working towards coming up with solutions for some of these things, so that if and when the bottom falls out of this thing, you know, there'll be a small group of people who will be able to survive it and actually, you know, exceed expectations from there.
I mean, in 2008, when did Netflix start? Like the streaming side of Netflix. It was around 2008, 2009, 2010, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. That's when the beginning stages of streaming, which was horrible at the time, obviously. But that's when it started. And Netflix came out of the streaming side of Netflix came out of the 2008 thing. And look how that completely transformed our industry. And there every once in a while, there needs to be a purge. And I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I 100% think there needs to be a wiping of the slate in many ways. If the companies are strong and they have good business models that can sustain hits, then
and ethical.
Correct.
Then they'll survive.
Correct.
They'll survive. They have a better chance of surviving. And you know, it's interesting you bring up that.